media continues to corrupt our morals through the explicit use of sexual content everywhere. As a result of this exploitation, many people today are confused with the church's views and begin to doubt them. The church acknowledges this confusion, and it has become a matter of utmost importance to them. Bishops, pastors, and priests deal with this growing issue every day and are doing everything in their power to teach it more effectively. My thesis for this project is that the modern society corrupts our morals and values by contradicting the church's teachings and changing the norms of society. So based on this contradiction, we must be able to stay strong in our faith and work to show the people around us the true way. Man cannot just decide his own law based on how he feels at the time. He must at least consider the law that God has written on his heart. You must hold yourself to the church's standards, for they are made to protect the human dignity and the act of human procreation in true love. From this, the church states that from natural law, that sex should be between a man and a woman in the confines of marriage for the dual purposes of unity and procreation. One should not participate in the act if he or she is not married, because then unification is not present in the act. One should not participate in the act if he or she is using a form of contraception, because then it lacks the procreation aspect. As St. Paul said, if one feels that they cannot live chastely without their lover, then it is best to marry than to be aflame with passion. The church is not trying to condemn those that are unchaste, but just to reinform the community as it feels needed. Today, many people see the sexual act as acceptable if the intention is to marry, but the church disagrees. By not being in the confines of marriage, it either excludes the possibility of children or brings them into a world that will deprive them of a stable environment. Based on this, the church is saying that sex is a special union for the purposes of procreation and unity, and when society views it as casual or a child is born outside of marriage, it's not as special, nor is it natural law, which is what we are meant to follow in the first place. Today we see all these ads in the magazines and in the papers about celebrities and everyone having children outside of marriage, and they have 1 or 2 or 3 kids, and then they get married, which this is enforcing that society thinks the intention to marry is good enough, which in reality it's not. Some homosexual tendencies come about through traumatic experiences or abnormal development and are considered incurable. Other sexual tendencies are completely natural, and this justifies their right to a life of love in the church. While it's important for us as Catholics to be understanding towards homosexuals, they are also obligated to stay true to the Catholic faith by abstaining from acting on their homosexual tendencies. So in the church, homosexuality is not viewed as wrong. It can't be controlled in some instances, and it can also be very natural. Homosexuals are just have a harder cross to bear with the fact that they can't act on their homosexuality tendencies, and that's hard because one always wants to love and wants to have a union between 2 persons, but without obeying natural law, it's just not possible. Society today gets very bent out of shape when Catholics or the church talks about homosexuality, because all they hear is that homosexuality is bad, or homosexuality is gross, or something, when society just really doesn't listen to the church. Society thinks that homosexuals should be treated just like any other couple, and they should be allowed to get married and have kids and be happy, but in reality, homosexuals will be happy if they just follow the natural law, and yes, their cross will be hard to bear, but in the end, Christ will always be there for them, and they'll find happiness through him, like everyone else will. Some psychologists state that masturbation is a normal developmental stage that some young adults go through. The church disagrees with this because the act of masturbation is considered a sexual act purely for pleasure and doesn't have the unification or procreation aspect, and the church believes that that is the goal of any sexual act. Sociologists have actually studied this disorder and the places where they're concentrating, and found that associated with masturbation is not only man's weakness in original sin, but also the loss of a sense of God and community. So, linked with masturbation is not only the fact that you're losing God, but you're committing original sin over and over and over, and more quickly, and not as aware that you're doing it.